EIS members will be aware of the decision taken by the EIS Salaries Committee on the 8th of May, endorsed by the National EIS Council on the 9th of May, to open a ballot on the failure of COSLA and Scottish Government to make any meaningful progress on the promised reduction to pupil contact time to 21 hours per week. Today we'll hear a bit more on this issue from Des Morris, the convener of the Salaries Committee, and Paula McEwan, also on the Salaries Committee. Des and Paula are both local association secretaries, and so both are well aware of the pressures on teachers that stem from excessive workload. Could you tell us a little of how we got to the point where the EIS is balloting members?
Yeah, well, there's a wee bit of a history to this that I think would probably be good for all the members to know. This whole issue originates from a manifesto commitment, an SNP manifesto commitment from 2021, leading up to the Scottish Parliament elections then. And in that manifesto, it said that if elected, they would reduce teachers' class contact from 22.5 hours to 21 hours per week. That was crystal clear. Page 62 of the manifesto. Recommend that members look it up. It's still online. You can still check it. It's there in black and white. So this didn't come out the blue because EIS, we've been pushing for class contact to be reduced to 20 hours a week. So we firmly believe that the commitment came as a result of pressure from ourselves. That was 2021. We started negotiations on achieving this within the parliamentary session because that was the commitment. There was some initial discussion. An initial scoping paper was produced in 2022, but essentially nothing has happened since then. This led us, despite pressure being put on by ourselves and the teachers' panel as a whole, this led the teachers' panel to declare a dispute in relation to this matter in February of this year. And surprise, surprise, that had the effect of energising, let's say, Scottish Government and the employer side with a commitment which they gave following declaration of that dispute to produce proposals, firm proposals, for enacting this reduction in class contact time by the end of June this year, so just the end of next month. And we will wait to see. We've got meetings scheduled up until then. But that's how we've arrived at where we are because of the inaction that has been since that commitment was given.
Can I take us back a wee bit further than Des did to the Value Education, Value Teachers campaign, the Bright Yellow campaign, it is in my head, where we got a commitment, we got 2 additional in-service days out of that pay settlement, which was an acknowledgement by COSLA and the Scottish Government that workload is an issue, and that those 2 in-service days were teacher-directed. They were given to teachers, departments, schools to decide how they best could reduce their workload. So there was already recognition at Scottish Government and COSLA level that workload was a problem for teachers. That manifesto pledge built on that recognition, I think. So the recognition is there. What we need now is the action to make it a reality.
Can I just also say the other important point that all members should realise as well is the dispute is not just in relation to the failure to bring forward proposals after, 4 or 5 years. It's also about the use of that time, because since the outset, and I think we'll probably come to this later, at the outset we insisted that the time given, the time released from non-class contact, or reduced class contact I should say, would be given over to preparation and correction time. And to date, Scottish Government has not given that commitment. But furthermore, during this time, they haven't said what they would want the time used for. So there's just this complete gap of information, I would say, Paula, in relation to this. So the dispute is in relation to that part also.
Thanks. So why is it important that the time released from reduced class contact time goes to teachers?
Well, as many people in the EIS will have heard me saying a number of times, that a teacher, one of our members, can only be doing one of 3 things at any one time in their job. They're either teaching, they're doing preparation and correction, or they're undertaking a collegiate activity. Now, at the moment, we've got 22.5 hours maximum class contact time. we've got protected 7.5 hours preparation and correction time, and there's 5 hours collegiate time per week. Now, take that 5 hours, multiply it by 39 weeks in the school year, that's where you get your 195 hours that make up the working time agreement. Now, if the time that's released from class contact has to go somewhere, it just doesn't disappear into the ether. It has to go into preparation and correction time, or it has to go into collegiate time. And this goes back to what I was talking about earlier. We cannot get agreement from Scottish Government that it will go into preparation and correction time. Because if it doesn't, if it goes into collegiate time, then see those 195 hours that we negotiate and sometimes argue about at this time of year, that'll go up to 273 hours. And try negotiating that. And it's the unanimous view of, I think, probably everybody in the EIS, but also the teachers panel as a whole, other teaching unions, that if it did go into collegiate hours, that would inevitably lead to an increase in teachers' workload, not a decrease. And actually, it would also have the effect of actually reducing preparation and correction time, because if it went without any changes to the handbook, there would be a commensurate reduction in preparation and correction time from 7.5 to 7. So it's absolutely critical that this time is given over to preparation and correction time. And there's other reasons for that, which no doubt we'll come to.
I can come to them now. Our workload survey, EIS commissioned independent research last year under the banner of the Stand Up for Quality Education campaign. That research came back and told us that our members, on average, are working 11.59 hours additional time over and above their contract. One of our LA secretary colleagues calls that charity work, because it's unpaid hours that our members are donating to the school. And that's an average. That means some of our members are working way beyond 11.59 hours over and above that time. And that's why this time has to go to preparation and correction. 90 minutes isn't going to take that 11.5 hours away. We have to stop doing that anyway. But it's 90 minutes that our members get back for family time, for their weekends, for their evenings, to go to the pictures on a Wednesday night. It gives them that time back. It's absolutely crucial. And I think we need to be clear that it's a red line for the EIS, that the use of this time goes to preparation and correction, that we are not going to be given 90 minutes on one hand and have whatever the Scottish Government and COSLA's recommendations are, let's say half. We won't accept 90 minutes on one hand and 45 minutes being taken away on the other hand. That's just not acceptable to us.
Would it be true to take from that that amount of unpaid overtime is taking away jobs from teachers?
Well, the government pledged 3,500 jobs to facilitate the reduction to 21 hours. We know that teacher precarity is a massive issue. This will bring more jobs into the system. We know that local authorities have already been asked to scope this out and to let Scottish Government know how many teachers they would need in order to bring this forward. So it's a win-win for Scottish Government. It's difficult to understand why they haven't implemented this already, when they win on giving us a step towards our policy of 20 hours. But there's also a win because teacher precarity is an issue. They know teacher precarity is an issue, and this brings jobs for some of our early career and new teachers. Yeah,
Paul's absolutely right. And just actually to go back to what the manifesto said, as part of that commitment, again, folk can go and read it themselves, there was an undertaking, a commitment that they would increase the number of teachers, by employ an additional 3,500 new teachers to facilitate this reduction. So Paula and I, as the LA secretaries, constantly receive emails from members who are on temporary or no contract, members who are unemployed. And it's scandalous, really, absolutely scandalous. And so as Paula says, this can fix a lot of problems. And we are at a loss as to why no progress has been made in this. The other thing, actually, that I want to say as well, and members should realise this, the manifesto commitment appeared in the 2021 Scottish Government's programme for government, and it appeared in the following one, I think it was slightly watered down. And in fact, actually, at the STUC Congress that Paula and I attended a couple of weeks ago, the First Minister addressed it and didn't mention education
Not once,
let alone reduction in class contact. So, you know, we're not going to let this go. We're not going to let this go.
Right, the member bulletin that went out earlier this week, I think it was, there's a wee table on there which lays it out really, really clearly. I think the numbers are great in that. And actually, I hadn't thought on it in the terms of the table through that bulletin. It says that currently we do 7.5 hours preparation to teach 22.5 hours contact. Getting this 90 minutes to preparation and correction time means that we will have 9 hours to prepare for 21 hours contact. I just think those figures are stark. I think that's I brought it home to me about why this time has to go to teachers. The difference in preparing for 21 hours with 9 hours of preparation and correction time, it will bring a massive difference to teachers, which in turn then brings a massive difference to our learners, who ultimately are at the heart of everything that we're doing.
So I suppose a final point. Why is it important for EIS members to vote in this ballot?
Well, the fact that we're actually having to have the ballot is a disgrace, I would say, because this commitment has been on the books since 2021. And we are where we are because of the inaction of the employer side and Scottish Government. We've been forced into the situation of declaring this dispute and having this ballot. But the real reason why, or one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why members must use their vote in this ballot is that for years, I think in fact it was when the current First Minister, John Swinney, took over as the Education Secretary. He went on very much about the importance of reducing workload. And we've had talks through the SNCT, the main negotiating body for teachers, about reducing workload, but it hasn't reduced. In fact, it's increased. But this commitment to reduce class contact is the first and only real concrete proposal that we've had from Scottish Government that will make a difference if the time is allocated properly. That actually a concrete proposal is there now to reduce our workload, and we cannot let the Scottish Government off the hook. Now, if any of our members doesn't participate in this ballot, or decides not to support the ballot question, I would say that is letting the Scottish Government off the hook, because they're not going to come running back with a fresh commitment on this if they don't think that our members are bothered about it. But our members need to be bothered about it because it will improve their lives, it will improve their working conditions. So that's why it's essential, I would say, that members use their vote in the upcoming consultative ballot.
I'll just add my voice to that. Des and I are one member in the union with one vote. If we could fix this ourselves, we absolutely would try to. We've given the history of this since before 2018. We have consistently said that workload for our members is an issue. This is our members' opportunity to say, do you know what? They've been talking about this for years and they are right. We are going to need our members at our back, because if we don't get a strong turnout in this ballot, if we don't get a strong yes, when Des goes in to negotiate with a Scottish Government and COSLA as our salaries convener, they're going to throw this back at him and say, well, you told us your members were worried about workload. Where were they? Where were they when you balloted? We absolutely need a strong turnout. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're one of our members listening to this podcast, you are already an activist because you have listened into this podcast. We now need you to put that into action. Mike, I love the saying, union membership is not a spectator sport. It needs action, and the action that you can take now is to vote yes in this consultative ballot. Voting in the consultative ballot doesn't tie you to taking any action yet. It's just to send, we need the strength of the message to apply pressure to Scottish Government and COSLA. The hope is always that by applying that pressure, they'll come back on with the terms that we're looking for. But it's really important to vote. It's a digital vote. It's really quick, it's really easy. But can we urge you while we're here to get your membership details up to date, log on, make sure we've got the correct email address, make sure we've got the correct address for you. If you're a rep, please nag your members to get their membership details up to date. And then when the ballot opens on the 6th of June, please nag your members to vote.
Can I also just add a wee bit to what Paula said there as well, just in terms of the length of the ballot, because members will be aware that it's a long ballot. It's opening the 6th of June. It's going to close about 2 weeks after most schools are back, so the end of August. And that's quite deliberate. And I just want to kind of emphasise why it's being done that way. The first is that we've been given a commitment that we're going to get some form of paper or report on this by the end of June. And in fact, we've got a meeting scheduled for my last day of work, on the 25th. So we need to make sure that if that paper is tabled as promised, and we sincerely hope it is, there'll be no negotiations on that until post-summer, because the teacher side are on annual leave. We don't ask COSLA and Scottish Government to come in and meet with us when they're on annual leave, so similarly they've got to respect that. So we've actually got a meeting penciled in for just after we're back, a negotiating meeting on this. So COSLA and Scottish Government need to know that paper tabled at the end of June, if it's not tabled at the end of June, it wouldn't be the first time we've been promised something and it hasn't turned up. But let's take them at their word that it will be produced. But COSLA and Scottish Government have got to know that they've got to keep working on this over the summer and be ready to come back in mid-August to sit down with us and talk constructively about it. So it's important that our members are engaged in this over the summer, before the summer as well, and indeed once they come back. To make sure that the Scottish Government and COSLA know that we're serious about achieving this change to our terms and conditions. The other thing is, obviously, we want as many members to participate as possible. But one other important point as well is it's important that members educate themselves as to why this commitment can help on workload. Pay is what we're usually talking about, and that's very easy to understand. But the arguments around this being a benefit to workload need to be appreciated and understood by our members, and I'm sure most of them will. But let's give ourselves time to make sure that all our members do.
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much. That was really informative. I think it set the issue in context really well for members, also as well as highlighting that it's critical that members get out and vote. I think we'll be producing some further podcasts to cover questions that we know members have about some of the issues. For example, the practicalities of what this would look like. So watch this space. And for now, I think the message is, as Paula has already said, vote yes to strike action and vote yes to action short of strike action.